Welcome to the You Need More Money podcast. I'm your host, Matt Manero, coming to you from our studios in Dallas, Texas. We just redid these studios as we start the venture and the promotion of the You Need More Money podcast, and then eventually the You Need More Money book. And the book is written based on a short story that I wrote, and that ended up going to a media company. These guys, Two Market Media, Steve Carlos and Hank Norman out of New York. The story then, after they read it, said, hey, this is a pretty good story. I think we could turn it into a book. I didn't have any interest in writing a book. I had written my first book, The Grit. That was self-published. And I was proud of the book, The Grit. Still am proud of it. You can get the audiobook of The Grit or the ebook at mattmanero.com. It's free. You can download the book or the audiobook right there. But then Two Market Media pushed me on it and said, let us take it to an agent that we know in Dallas called Dupree Miller. Dupree Miller is a premier agent. They handle Tony Robbins, Joel Osteen, Grant Cardone. They publish big names. They rep big names. And they took the book to Penguin. They took it to 4 publishers originally. And 2 said no, 1 said maybe, and Penguin said, hell yeah, we'll do that book. We love the sound of it. And here I am writing a book called You Need More Money. The book's actually done. It comes out in March of 2018. And writing a book is very, very difficult. It's something everybody should do, but it's incredibly difficult. The biggest challenge in writing a book is, can you say something unique? Can you deliver a unique concept so that you don't look like you're plagiarizing from somebody else? And so much has already been plagiarized. I mean, everybody's plagiarizing everybody. It's like almost nobody has original content anymore. And so what I committed to myself in writing that book was, I'm going to take some unique concepts and we're going to present them in this book, You Need More Money. And that's what makes a book hard. When you're trying to deliver unique content that is your thought process and that hasn't been done by somebody else. But I think we came up with that in this book. I think this book has 4 primary takeaways. Unique takeaways. Things that are different for the reader to experience, to learn, to hear, to read, and then hopefully to feel, because the primary concept of the book, the original story, was about my brother-in-law, John, my wife's only brother, who died 2 years ago now. He died at 46 years old with no health insurance, no life insurance, and $100 in the bank. He left a wife and 4 children. And the book talks about that, talks about how does that happen? How does somebody work hard? My brother-in-law, John, worked hard. He was a car salesman. He was a finance manager in car dealerships. And man, he worked 60, 70, 80 hours a week for a long time. And we used to talk about it. And John used to say, I'm going to make up for it. I know I'm behind, but I can make up for it. And the reality was he didn't have time to make up for it because he didn't expect to get sick. And he did get sick, and he was underprepared. And so that was the ultimate wake-up call for me, man. What is enough? How do you know if you have enough money, man? And so I set out to write the book trying to answer that question, because it's a question I ask myself all the time. How do you know if it's enough? How do I know where I am? Am I on pace? Am I off pace? Because don't most of us think that we're on pace? The data tells us we're not. The book tells us we're not. I broke the book up into 2 sections. The first section is called the wake-up call. The second section is the roadmap to fix the shortfall, which most readers will find themselves in. And so in order to prove that point, we had to do a lot of data research. We had to talk to a lot of people. We had to write interesting stories. And we had to come up with a few unique concepts. One of those concepts is this theory of false positive. I believe that most people believe they are doing better than they really are. They can get approved for fancy cars. They can get approved for fancy houses. They got a couple grand in the bank and they can buy a purse for their wife on Christmas. And then they just keep making the money again, right? And they keep spending the money. They make it and they spend it. And false positive doesn't hit people who are just broke. I mean, false positive hits anybody. In fact, there's an argument that it probably hits more people who are making good money, a couple hundred grand a year, 300, 400, 500 grand a year, who don't have a lot to show for it, because we created a formula in the You Need More Money book. It's called the 1, 3, 5, 10 formula, and it shows you where you are. And what we'll find, as the reader will find in the book, is most people are behind. The third concept that was created was the theory of different phases of wealth. And I break it out into 3 primary phases. The first is called broke. The second is accumulation, and the third is rich. There's a fourth theory called wealthy. Wealthy means Carnegie money, Rockefeller money, can't burn money, can't go out of business money, generational money. But I don't talk about that much because most people will never touch that. The goal is to get to rich. And so the third component, the unique aspect of the book, is the broke, accumulation, and rich phase. And then the fourth is lifestyle by design. How do you know you're rich? I mean, if you're going after money, how do you know if you have enough money to be rich? The 1, 3, 5, 10 formula tells you that. But what if you're not going after money? What if you want to be happy? How much money do I need to be happy? Well, that's where the lifestyle by design kicks in. It's the ability to create a life based on your wishes, your core values, your mission statement, converted into a life worth leading, your life. And that's the fourth component, the unique aspect of the book, called Lifestyle by Design. There's some wonderful stories in the book. I cannot wait for it to come out. March 20th, 2018, the You Need More Money book comes out. And I guess that brings me back to the podcast. Why are we doing the You Need More Money podcast? Because I want to get attention for the book. I want to begin to share some of the insights in the book, so when it comes out, more people are going to want to buy it. There's no money in books. Everybody needs to understand that. You make in advance. The publisher pays you in advance. Some it's massive. A guy like Bill O'Reilly or Hillary Clinton will get millions in advance. But for other authors, it's less. It's usually somewhere in the 50 to 150 range, if you're lucky enough. By the way, 97% of books that get presented to a major publisher get turned down. So getting a major publisher to pick up your book is a tremendous accomplishment, but it puts almost no money in your pocket. I make about $2.50 on every book that gets sold. So you can do the math on that. You got to sell a lot of books, right? A lot of books. You sell 1,000 books, you make $2,500. You know how hard it is to sell 1,000 books, let alone 20, 30, 40, 50,000 copies of books? It takes a lot. But it's an accomplishment, and it's something that everybody should try to do. Write a book. If you want to make money on the book, self-publish the book and sell it for $20 and keep the $20 after the cost of printing. The cost of printing at 48-hour prints online will cost you about $5. $4 or $5 to publish your self-published book. If you sell it for $20, you make $15 a book. Or you can go the publisher route, get a small advance, and then make $2.50. Whatever you want to do, it doesn't matter. But it was an incredibly therapeutic process for me. I'm so glad I did it, because I get to tell my brother-in-law's story. I get to address what I believe is an epidemic in society, which is people think they have more money than they actually do. We are all way behind. It's not just you need more money. I need more money. We need more money. And then I hope that there's some storytelling in there, some real-life examples, things that I've gone through. How did I accumulate a few bucks? What was the roadmap that I took? Is that roadmap simple enough for anybody to follow it? I think it is. Phase 1 of the book is the wake-up call. Phase 2 is the roadmap. It's peppered with stories of my experiences, my roadmap, how I was able to get out of broke, And then it's really all in tribute of my brother-in-law, John, my wife's only brother, who was such a great guy. And it was such a bummer that we lost him. We lost him way too early, not just myself and my wife and my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law, but John's wife, Lori, and his 4 kids. He was taken from us way too early. And to add insult to injury, he was broke. And that pain that has been caused on the family, the financial pain, the burden. I mean, if you do nothing other than listen to one thing in today's podcast, I want you today, right now, to Google term life insurance in whatever city you're in, and I want you to buy tomorrow as much term life insurance as you possibly can. $100 life insurance for term life insurance might cost you $50 a month. Imagine what would have happened if John's family had $100,000 come to them after he died. $200,000, $500,000. Term life insurance is cheap. Go buy term life insurance is the takeaway on today. The You Need More Money podcast. I'm your host, Matt Manero. We're going to do a lot of these, a couple a week. I want you to come to my studio in Dallas, Texas. We got this really cool phone booth in it, this big red London phone booth. I want you to come in and sign my booth. I want you to share your ideas. How do we help people make more money? How do we fix this epidemic in America, which is people are underprepared for their future. They spend today's money, which should be put away for tomorrow's lifestyle by design, at an alarming rate. Most people are way behind. And I'm going to do my best to fix it. I'm going to fix it by this podcast, and I'm going to fix it by the book, You Need More Money, in March. It comes out in March of 2018. I'll see you down the road.